Hello and welcome to Building with the TAs. You might be thinking, what the heck is this channel? Well, the main reason for this channel is to give you some insight into our own building journey. We are building with Homegroup South West and we are building in Busselton, which is pretty exciting. And really in this video, I just want to give you the reasons why we decided to build and I guess a bit of the journey as to what it has taken us to get to this point. So hopefully it will be really helpful for someone out there, but we never thought that this would be possible. And we've pretty much given up the dream of ever owning a home until very recently. We originally started this journey back in December 2023. We were living in Sydney at the time and we were just like really over it. Like the price for living was just ridiculous over there. The rentals were just out of control. When we were living there, they were around like $1,000 per week for a little 2-bedroom apartment, I don't know, like 2 or 3 Ks out of the city. Anyhow, we did a holiday to WA in October of 2023 where we stayed in Rockingham. But we stayed there for a couple of weeks and we absolutely loved it. And we just thought to ourselves, wow, we could actually totally live here. So we started looking at the properties in WA and I started looking for a job, and I eventually took a job opportunity in Busselton. And I personally love Busselton because I grew up doing family holidays down here. And yeah, used to go fishing off the jetty and all that fun stuff. But anyhow, I landed a job at Cornerstone Church in Busselton as a pastor. So if you're ever in the area, come and say hi. Our services are on every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. And you know, getting that job really narrowed down our search as to where we were going to get a house. So we started looking at the area of Busselton. So the property market in Busselton is actually on the rise right now. And at the moment, it's really expensive down here to own a house. Maybe that's because of the airport with direct flights in and out of Melbourne and Sydney. And you know what is actually a really cool fact is we were on the first ever flight from Sydney to Busselton. But it was really hard for us to buy an established home because the WA government was only giving out stamp duty exemptions and discounts up to the value of $530,000. And that was particular to this area. So anyhow, anything above 530K, you have to pay full stamp duty on it. And I actually think this has changed now, but when we were looking, it was actually impossible because there was nothing decent for that price in that moment at Busselton. So on a property around 650K in Busselton, if you can find one, they've all gone up now. But when we were looking, that was around the ballpark figure. We would have had to have paid around $25,000 in stamp duty, which would have then brought our deposit down, which would have meant we would have then fallen under the 20% deposit range and that would have meant that we had to have paid LMI, Lender's Mortgage Insurance, which is roughly around 30K. So that's something like $55,000 in fees lost from our deposit. Oh, but you say, oh, well, what about the first home buyer's grant? It's still $45,000 in fees after you deduct the $10,000 that the government gives you. Like, they only give you $10,000, please give us more. And then you got the settlement fees, which is another $2,000. And then also the rates you pay every year, which is around another $2,000. So it's almost like $49,000. So anyway, you might be thinking, oh, well, what about the 5% government guarantor? The government will pay the 15% and be your guarantor. Well, unfortunately, this is where I don't understand what the heck the government is doing to help first home buyers, because it was only up to the price of 600K in the capital city, and regional centres in WA are only up to 450K. That's for the rest of the state. So I'm not sure where Busselton fits into that. Maybe we're regional, I don't know, someone will have to say in the comments, but for a decent house, you were looking at easily more than 600K. So with all of that in mind, I started looking into what it would take to actually build a house. Now I understand it's really hard right now, and I mean, we are really blessed because we live in an awesome granny flat with 2 amazing people from our church. It's a 2-bedroom little granny flat and we're paying reasonable rent as well. And we will have to eventually pay interest on our build once it begins, as well as paying rent. So I'm not looking forward to that. That's going to be quite expensive. But for us, building was way more appealing because it cut out all the cost of those fees. Instead of having to pay $45,000 to $55,000 in fees, we could actually keep it all and put it towards our house and land. And with being first home buyers, it meant that we didn't have to pay any of the stamp duty on the land. And we also got a 10K grant, which was, you know, it's all right. I wish there would be more, but you know, 10K is 10K. that means our deposit is above 20%. So we didn't have to pay the lender's mortgage insurance. And for us, we saved on the fees that we would have otherwise had to have paid. And after crunching the numbers, I looked at what we could afford in repayments to determine how much we could borrow. And we were able to easily afford repayments on a house around 600K comfortably. Now, the only way we were able to save a big deposit was through a thing called investing. Yeah, don't just put your money in the bank. It just collects nothing. But what we did was we regularly invested into an index fund, and that fund just kept on growing, and it got compound interest and all that stuff. We got paid dividends that then got reinvested. But we were actually able to get a return of around 30% over 4 years. If you want a more detailed video, I can definitely do one for you. So just tell me in the comments and I'll definitely do one. But that is what really helped us and worked for us and helped us save to get our deposit to get into the property market. We would have actually loved to have bought an established home, but it was way out of our budget, and yeah, it was just a bit impossible because we would have had to have paid way too much in fees. And at the moment, established houses are being snatched up and people are actually offering more than the asking prices for houses at the moment. So building for us just really made a lot more sense. So with all of that in mind, we started researching, looking for land that was for sale. It was January by now, and I engaged and made inquiries with various builders, and some of them never got back to me, thanks so much, and some of them tried to make me sign over the phone. But I just kept looking through ads, just persisted with it, and whilst I was looking around, I found a few number of different adverts in an estate called Embark, and I called up one of the numbers and ended up having a really nice conversation with a guy called Clive. Now, he is a beautiful American man, and he told me about this block in West Busselton, and he was really awesome. He was never like pushy. He helped answer all of my questions, and he put me onto this block. It was the perfect block for us. It was within 2 Ks of where I was going to be working in Busselton, so we literally just took a leap of faith, purchased the block, and it was literally the last block in a well-established estate, fully titled, ready to go. And I actually found out later that the previous buyers, their finance actually fell through and the land went back to market. So that was really good for us. We had really no idea if the real estate agent would be able to actually hold it for us because we were still in Sydney at the time and we're in the process of moving to Busselton, and we actually wouldn't get there until late March, and I was not even starting work until April. But thank God for Chris Hill, he's the agent we dealt with, so big shout out to him. He actually held the block for us until we were able to get our finances approved. He extended it for like 3 months or so. So after purchasing the block, we signed up to build with Homegroup South West through Clive. And yeah, he was awesome. He answered like all of our questions, was super patient with us. I'd ask like all these funny questions like, what about this? And he'd just come back and just answer. But yeah, we had a really good experience with him, and I would highly recommend him to anyone who is looking to build. For us, it was between 2 designs. It was either going to be the Monaco or the Fraser, and we chose the Fraser. We just liked it better. And you know, coming from Sydney to Busselton, it's nuts. We're building a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, theatre, study, scullery, and a double garage house on a 451 square metre block for a fifth of the price of what it would cost in Sydney. It's absolutely mind-blowing for us. Anyway, it took us a while to choose the Fraser, and again, Clive was super gracious with us. Like, we were going back and forth a lot, and he was never like super pushy or anything like that. So what we did was we signed a price hold agreement in January, and then once we got finance approval from the bank through our broker, we were then able to sign the build contracts. Getting finance was actually really tough. I actually researched heaps, shopped around with different mortgage brokers, and none of them really understood my situation because of my work. It's quite unique. I do work as a pastor at Cornerstone Church in Busselton, so my financial situation is very uncommon. I couldn't just walk up to a bank and be like, hey, I need to borrow X amount of dollars. I needed somebody to actually understand my financial situation because it is very unique. But my wife was not really working full time. She was doing more casual work, so it was actually a real challenge for us to get a loan. Anyhow, I crunched the numbers and I knew we could afford it. So after shopping around, my dad was the one who actually got me onto this broker that he used when he bought his first house. And this guy's name is Vic Ganakis from Better Choice Mortgage, and he understood my situation, was able to work with me to get the loan. And he was like super thorough and organized, and we had a deadline where we needed to have finance approved like very quick. Like when we arrived in Busselton, we needed to get finance going by like April so that we didn't miss out on the land. So I was like transitioning jobs, and it had all been it all had to happen like really fast. So we did as much work as we could beforehand leading up to it. And as soon as we landed in Busselton and got our first paycheck, boom, we were able to get the loan for the land and the build in one hit. So that was such a good feeling when we got pre-approval, because before we could even move to building contracts, we had to get pre-approval from the bank. So then once we had the building contracts, we were able to get fully approved by the banks. And another big shout out again to Chris Hill, because he got us an extension on the land finance again. So thank you. If you're watching, thank you, thank you, thank you. It all worked out and it all came together in April. So now from there, we had to sign what you call a HIA contract with Home Group. And then we attended a colour meeting on the 4th of June, and we chose all the colors, etc., for the house. Like, you know, you choose the roof, the door frames, the tiles, the carpets, the floors, the renders, all of that stuff. And it was actually a really good experience for us. This lady called Deb took us through the whole process, and it was amazing. We got it done within like 4 hours, and she even came with us to the local tile shop and helped us pick out the tiles. It was so cool. So from there, we waited then a month to do what they call pre-start. So we did pre-start on the 4th of July, and this is where you finalize everything from finishes to PowerPoints to lights. And then from there, we had to wait for our final draft. Now this was like, oh, when's it gonna come? Took a while, but it came back on the 1st of September, which is exactly 10 weeks, which is exactly how long they said it would take. So big shout out to Pamela there. And in that time, our building plans had to go to the council, where it would then be approved for building. So after having signed and sent it, we got the approval back, and then they began earthworks. So earthworks began about 5 weeks ago or something like that. And from there, they put the slab down. So where we are now is our slab is down, and we're pretty much waiting for the bricks to come now. So the bricks have been scheduled to come on the 11th of November. So hopefully I will have an update for you then. And if you've actually made it this far, I would so appreciate if you do subscribe so you can follow our journey. And if you have any questions, just feel free to write in the comments and I will get back to you. Because yeah, this is a massive journey, and this was actually really hard because we didn't come across anything that helped us in that process of building. So our main hope for this video is to actually help other people who are looking to build or are going on that building journey, so we can actually help you through that. So cool. Thanks so much, and I guess I will catch you on the next one. See ya.